Good afternoon, everyone. Call to order this public hearing. Today's public hearing is convened under the provisions of the Local Government Act of British Columbia to hear submissions relative to the proposed bylaw. All persons who believe that their interest in property is affected by the proposed bylaw shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard respecting matters in the proposed bylaw. I would ask those members of the public who wish to speak to commence your address to this board by clearly stating your name. The board will not debate the matters of a proposed bylaw with individual citizens, but members may ask questions of you following your presentation. The main function of this public hearing is to listen to your views. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views heard. Bylaw 2879 sets out numerous amendments to zoning bylaw 2400. The proposed changes are intended to improve bylaw clarity, update outdated terminology, and align with revised provincial processes and legislation. Ms. Corporate Officer, are there any written submissions?
There have been no written submissions.
Thank you. Are there any in-person submissions? Calling a second time for any in-person submissions? Calling a third and final time for any in-person submissions? All right, there being no speakers, I declare this public hearing closed. All right, and now call to order this meeting of the Thompson-Nicola Regional District for Thursday, June the 26th, 2025. The TNRD acknowledges that we connect with many First Nations within our vast regional district, and today we are located on the Tk'emlúps to Secwepemc territory, situated within the unceded ancestral lands of the Secwepemc Nation. The TNRD appreciates that the partnership that we have with Tk'emlúps to Secwepemc and respect the territory and land on which we gather today. We move on to the chair's announcements. I'd like to welcome alternate director Lynn Frizzle for Director Blackwell. Welcome. Already had 2 committee meetings today, so she's a veteran. Library update. The TNRL is pleased to announce the mobile library schedule for the next 6 months, and you'll find a copy in your blue folder. Upcoming highlights include drop-in summer reading club programs celebrating this year's theme of Color Your Summer, and Downtown Kamloops Hot Night in the City on August 9th. Please refer to your blue folders for more information. Between meetings today, I popped over to Aberdeen Mall, dropped in and saw Mike and Rose at the tiny library, and saw Jordan, one of our employees who's off on mat leave with her 4.5-month-old daughter, Jane, there to pick up reading material. You're never too young. And I picked up, because Mike gave it to me, Adult Summer Reading Club. Just a reminder, Summer Reading Club is not just for kids, it's for adults too. And if you listen to audiobooks, as I do, that counts as reading. So Mike helpfully showed me how it worked because I clearly looked like I needed some help. You unfold it and you circle the paw prints for every day that you do reading, or in my case, listening to audiobooks. I highly recommend Lucy Worsley's biography of Agatha Christie, which I just finished, and I will be circling some paw prints when I get home. So pick one up or print one off online. The TNRD is informing societies and community groups throughout the regional district that a community grant writer is now available for consultation and for ongoing support. As part of the TNRD's Community Grant Writer pilot program, this new position will support nonprofit groups in seeking out and applying for applicable streams of grant funding. The program is available to nonprofit groups in TNRD electoral areas or in other areas if they provide a benefit or service to an electoral area. With each nonprofit society or community group, the community grant writer will meet with clients for 30 to 60 minutes, receive their information, conduct research, and reach out to the group with their findings. If applicable, the community grant writer will work with the group to prepare an application for any grant funding opportunities. This pilot project has been launched in response to an increase in requests for grant writing support from electoral area directors and from groups in rural areas. The program is possible thanks in part to a grant of $25,000 received from the Economic Trust of the Southern Interior at CBC. Austin Potts, the TNRD's financial supervisor, says for nonprofit community groups with limited time and resources, navigating complex grant applications can be a challenge. The goal of this pilot program is to apply staff expertise and support local groups in seeking out and writing grants, which benefits local economies and the general well-being of our communities. Any nonprofit groups who are interested in finding out more or in consulting with the TNRD community grant writer can send an email to grants with an S at tnrd.ca. Invasive Plant Field Day. The Thompson-Nicola Invasive Plant Management Committee is hosting its annual field day in Spence's Bridge on July the 9th. This free workshop is open to all residents, land managers, and private landowners who can attend and learn how to manage invasive plants on their land. The field day is being held at the old Spence's Bridge Schoolhouse, the Improvement District building from 9 a.m. to noon, with presentations from the TNRD, Cooks Ferry Indian Band, Purity Feed, and the Grasslands Conservation Council of BC. Registration is required and participants must sign up by July 7th, which can be done on the TNRD website or by contacting invasive plant management staff. I also understand you can bring any mystery plants that you have identified on or around your property, and they will do their best to identify them. It goes without saying, bring these mystery plants very carefully so you're not trailing seeds after you on the way to Spence's Bridge, which rather defeats the purpose of the Invasive Plant Management Committee's work. Upcoming meetings and events, July 17th, we have a regular board meeting at 1:30 p.m. and on August 14th, regular board meeting at 1:30 p.m. And I'd just like to add a word about our most recent board meeting, which was in Clinton 2 weeks ago. Thank you to Mayor Stanky. Thank you to the staff at the museum and at the library. Thank you to the Ladies of the Legion. Thank you to High Bar First Nation, to Echo Valley Ranch and Spa, all the great people we met. I think it was a fantastic 2-day event, learned a lot, beautiful area. The hospitality was wonderful, and I was very glad to be able to show off Clinton, which I think of as a very close neighbor. And I'm glad so many people enjoyed the museum particularly because it is a gem. If you're going by, take some time to spend a bit more time prowling around the stable and the museum and the livery stable. Today in your blue folders, you'll find regular mail. You'll find a copy of an email announcement regarding Highland Valley Tech's approved expansion of the Highland Valley copper mine to 2043, a letter of support for capacitors metal. And finally, in the event of an emergency, if a fire alarm sounds, please leave by the safest exit doors, either at the rear of the room or the main entrance, go down the staircase, exit the building, and assemble in the staff car parking lot at the rear of the Paramount Theater in that direction. Do not run, please do not use the elevators, and if you have issues with mobility, please advise the corporate officer. Are there any additions to or deletions from the agenda? No? All right, oh, sorry, and there's one more, a handwritten note. These are very rare these days. But it's a handwritten note to the Dear TNRD. Thank you so much for your recent support. With assistance from organizations and businesses like you, we are able to continue our legacy of providing quality arts programming in our communities from Kamloops Music Collective. So very nice. As I say, a handwritten note. All right, we have the minutes of the regular board meeting held on June 11th. We have a recommendation. Second. Thank you. Moved by Director Middleton, seconded by Vice Chair Smith. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. We move on to bylaws from public hearings. 7.1, zoning amendment bylaw number 2879. We do have 2 recommendations. Move one, Director Getz, seconded by Director Haughton. Thank you very much. Any discussion on the first recommendation regarding an amendment? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. Move to, that's 2.1, Director Smith, thank you. Seconded by Director Thorpe, thank you. Any discussion on that? This is for third reading. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That's carried. And a final recommendation. Move 2.2. Director Middleton, thank you very much. Director Thorpe, thank you. This is for adoption. Any discussion? On the question, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. All right, we have our first delegation. We have Music for the People from Margaret Gossage and Doug Perry. The podium is yours and welcome.
Hello. My name is Margaret Bandura, used to be Gossage, and this is Doug Perry. We're part of Music for the People, which is now a nonprofit society, so I might just take advantage of the community grant writer. Doug is the artistic director. So my husband and I, Rod Bandura, started this in 2022, and it's in the spirit of reconciliation. We felt like we had to take action. So we put together the Margaret Sky Project with performers of the Kamloops Symphony and Sage Hill singers, drummers, and dancers, and did an event at the Sagebrush Theatre. It was very successful, so we've carried it on, and this will be year 4. Unfortunately, Rod did pass away last year, but we carry it on in his memory. And we're excited to say that Velvet Groove will be playing, and that is Jeremy Nishaw with Chris Rustin and Darren Cheruweko. And they will be joined by Henry Small and Scott Skamolsky, and I may even get up and do a few songs. I'm not quite sure. We'll see how I feel. Thanks to Doug. He makes it sound incredible. It takes place at the Kamloops Arbor. I keep forgetting to do this. Is it this button? Forward arrow. I don't have my glasses on. Thank you. There we go. So there's Rod. He was very proud of his culture. He was also a world-class musician and an incredible songwriter. He felt the power of music to heal and communicate would transform spaces, and he's right. Bringing all these different cultures together in one area does promote healing. These are a few pictures from last year. It's a very colorful event. We're joined by the Quasalton Market. So the artisan market will take place from 4 to 9, with the music starting approximately 6:30 until around 8:15, as it is a school night. So this is new this year. Excuse me. We're going to have the Rod Little Sky Bandura Music Scholarship open to any Indigenous person, any age, from any band. There will be a submission form on the website, and that will be open till August 25th. We're very grateful to Long and McQuaid, and the winner will receive a musical instrument of their choice along with 1 year of music lessons. Thank you. Do you want to say anything? No. Sure. Go ahead. I need to catch my breath.
So this really is a meeting of different kinds of musics and cultures. Like we have the Kamloops Symphony, we have a rock band, we've got Native First Nations drummers and dancers. It's really entertaining and it's educational. And the setting over at the Arbor is so spiritual and warm. It's a beautiful place to have this show. And it is free. This lady goes out and finds money, and we do the show for free every year. Back to you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm okay now. But we appreciate the community support we've received over the years. We are down a bit in funding this year just because of the economic instability. But there is a sponsorship button on musicforthepeople.ca if anybody knows of anybody who'd like to throw us some money our way and help out. The Indian Residential School Survivor Society will be on site smudging, and they are collecting their own donations this year. But I'd like to thank you for having us in the spirit of reconciliation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation and thank you for this event. Director Middleton has a comment?
It's fine, thanks. The slide just came up and when I was wondering what the date was, so.
It's September 7th. I think
see that
there's
now.
might be one more slide. I'm not sure. Oh, there it is. Okay. There it is. Thank you. We did it. Okay.
Oh, no, thank you. But does anyone else have any questions or comments? Well, thank you for the work that you do and look forward to the event on September 7th.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving on to our next item, we have item 8.2, Cherry Creek resident Corinne Laborde.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Corinne Laborde. I live in Cherry Creek, and I'm here, thankfully, being able to address a letter that I wrote with regards to resignation of our director, Mr. Grenier. I didn't take this writing the letter lightly. It took a long time for me to decide that there was no other way to address the issues that we were dealing with in Cherry Creek. As you well know, the referendum on the fire hall failed, and it should have failed because at no time was either community actually listened to by our director. Now, I recognize being a director is difficult, especially in an area where the communities are so diverse, and certainly in Area J, that is the case. Now, I did read his comments because he had the opportunity to speak to my letter in June or on the 11th, which I wasn't available for. And I wanted to address the fact that he made some comments about my character, which I find unacceptable. Number one, I'm not a prolific Facebook poster. I am an educator. And I did post a lot of information about the fire hall in our own community group, which a number of other people did as well. I did my research, I did my homework, and I made sure that the information that I shared was accurate and that other people could check on their own to make sure that what was there was what was actually should have been shared. I asked numerous questions of Mr. Grenier on the Facebook page for the community as well as in public. He mentioned that I didn't email, text, or call him, which I don't have his number, and I don't think that's the way I needed to approach these questions. They were questions that the rest of the community had interest in as well, and they should have been asked publicly, which is what I did. I found out about the referendum, as I stated in my letter, in April, and I called Jamie Vieira to get some information about it because I had attended a meeting in the fall that was an information meeting, and there was no opportunity to ask questions. And unless you were one specific person from the community who always gets to ask questions, nobody else had that opportunity. Never heard anything more about it really until I kind of heard that there was a meeting to go to, which I also went to. And that's was kind of the beginning. And when I realized what was going on and did my reading and understood that we were given a survey a few years ago that I know I answered, so I make sure I answer all the surveys. And the question that was asked there was about a referendum for the service. My understanding was that we would be asked first whether we would want to be part of that service area. Now, we've had a director in the past, I've lived in Cherry Creek for 25 years, who we had two other referendums that failed, had to do with water, and arguably, we didn't pass those either. But this case, this time around, we are definitely interested in fire protection, but we weren't interested in kind of the way it went about. Why did I write the letter? Because at no time did I get any specific answers to the questions that I asked Mr. Grenier. He basically dismissed what I had to say, which is unacceptable. He did answer questions for other people, and in the same way they answered questions at the informational meeting, which is, we don't really know, we haven't checked that out, we've done no research, we just want you to trust us. And that's not what they said, but that's the basic gist of what happened. Unfortunately, there was also a petition that was brought here. I signed it. I didn't bring it. I signed it, and I supported the lady who did all the work, and she spoke to it and didn't get the support that we should have got from our director. Now, unfortunately, because I feel I'm here for me, I'm here for what I thought happened, we weren't listened to. A lot of time and energy from the TNRD staff, as well as money, was spent in a manner that is lost because the referendum failed. I think it would have been more successful, or would have been successful, had both communities been talked to. And I can't speak for Tobiano, but I can certainly speak for Cherry Creek. And we would have been consulted rather than provided information. And that consultation would have been listened to, and a different proposal at a different time maybe would have gone forward, would have been successful. There were a number of things that were said that I felt were kind of coercive. There was a $400,000 grant that at the public meeting, basically what we were told that wasn't available if the referendum that just went through that didn't pass. And I think a lot of information like that was unacceptable. At no time, I still feel at this point that at no time my questions were ever answered. I don't feel that any of our issues were listened to, and clearly the voters came out and said the same thing, and that's unfortunate. I wish I wouldn't have had to write a letter. I just felt there was nothing else that we could do because we were not being listened to. So I do appreciate the opportunity, the unfortunate opportunity to have to speak to this letter, but the opportunity to speak to it nonetheless. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Just to clarify, Dr. Laborde, you knew when you wrote that letter that we had no power or ability to compel Director Grenier to resign. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. I just didn't know what else I should do. I looked up as most I could, and I am sure you probably don't. But at the end of the day, I think as a group, you need to know the position that we're in and the position that I was put in with no actual recourse to address the lack of representation, I guess, is the best way to look at it.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Director Grenier?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your presentation. I just simply say that how's that? Thank you for your presentation. The minutes of the June 11th meeting, the out-of-town meeting, 10.1 letter from Cherry Creek, I think accurately reflects my comments of that meeting. And the attachment to today's agenda are also accurate. I think I've represented my constituents in these matters quite properly. I reject your assertions, and I will not resign.
Thank you, Director Grenier. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Dr. Laborde? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That's way over there. Sorry. Thank you. And I'd like to just address staff, and I don't normally go in not giving a heads up, and especially through chair. But I find this open mic platform highly offensive. For any individual that doesn't happen to agree with something to come in and take a microphone and have a soapbox and to call out a duly elected official because they don't like something. And from everything I understand through the process, we followed all of the legalities as the regional district. Staff, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but we did what we were supposed to be doing through the provincial government. This isn't a place to come in and have, do political speeches and personal feelings if you don't like something. It's tying up our time for the business of what should be done at the regional district. And so I guess my question through to staff is how we can control this from our side to allow basically any public to come in and ask for a resignation of a director. I just don't think it's appropriate, and it's not the appropriate way to do these things. Thank you.
Through Chair Roden to Director O'Reilly, I would agree with your comments. I think we plan on bringing back the procedure bylaw to this board in the fall to have that discussion and perhaps make some changes that would tighten that situation up. But you are absolutely right that staff did an amazing job, followed legislation, followed up with municipal affairs, and made sure we had everything in order to move forward with this one, and that's exactly what happened.
Thank you for the latitude, Madam Chair.
All right, we move on to 8.3, building infraction, Aberdeen Road in Lower Nicola. Is anyone here to make representations to the board on this matter? Nope. And no one online? All right, 8.4, building infraction in south of Lytton, electoral area I. Is anyone here to make representation to the board on this matter? And no one is online? Moving on to 9.1, building infraction, 2389 Aberdeen Road in Lower Nicola. We do have a recommendation. Director Ranta, thank you. Director Thorpe seconds that. Is there any discussion on this item to issue a section 57 on this property? No questions or comments? Everyone in favor? Is anyone opposed? That is carried. 9.2, building infraction, electoral area I. We do have a recommendation. Director Thorpe, seconded by Director O'Toole. Thank you. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Is anyone opposed? That is carried. 10.1, zoning amendment bylaw number 2882, River Shore Drive in electoral area P. We do have a recommendation. Director Morris, do you want to move that recommendation? Thank you. Director Sarai seconds that. Discussion. People who were here, have been here for a bit, will realize this is coming back again. It's a boomerang. Any questions or comments on this? All right, we do have a recommendation that it get first and second reading and go to a public hearing. So if there are no questions or comments, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. 10.2, zoning amendment bylaw number 2884 in Quilchena in electoral area M. Director Haughton makes that motion, seconded by Director Sarai. Thank you. Any discussion on this item? Again, first and second reading and taken to a public hearing. Questions, comments? Seeing no hands, all those in favor? Is anyone opposed? And that one is carried. 10.3, Monty Creek Fire Protection Temporary Borrowing Bylaw. Director Haughton, seconded by Director Morris. Thank you very much. And just a note that this is a weighted corporate vote, not an unweighted corporate vote, as it suggests in your agenda. The agenda is incorrect. All right, we have 3 recommendations. Who would like to make, we've got the first one made. So any discussion on the first recommendation? Questions or comments? Excuse me. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Recommendation number 2.
Okay.
Director Haughton, seconded by Director O'Reilly. Discussion? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. And number 3. Director Sarai, seconded by Director Thorpe. Any discussion? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? And that is carried. 11.1, development applications. We have a referral for regarding a telecommunications tower near Chase. And we do have a recommendation. Director Lepso makes that motion, seconded by Director Haughton. Thank you. Discussion. There were some public submissions received regarding this. Anyone have any questions or comments? All right, on the question, all those in favor? Is anyone opposed? And that is carried. 11.2, temporary use permit application for beautiful Green Lake. Anyone who'd like to make that motion? Director Smith, thank you. Seconded by Director Hall. Any discussion on the temporary use permit on Green Lake South Road? Just a question for planning. Is this something that we are expecting to see many more of as the weeks, months, and years roll by?
Through the chair, it is possible simply with the provincial changes to the basically short-term rental legislation. People now can't register on the provincial platform without confirming local government zoning. And so some of them that want to go through the steps of doing that right are now having to make these applications. So this one, I believe, was the fourth one in TNRD history. And so there could be more, but right now we're not expecting a flood of them.
Anyone else have any questions or comments on the TUP? All those in favor? Is anyone opposed? That one is carried. Move on to reports. 12.1.1, a verbal report from CAO Hildebrand.
Thank you, Chair Roden. Good afternoon, everyone. I've just got a handful of updates for you, along with Corbin's going to share us a few updates as well. Firstly, I'd like to start by acknowledging and congratulating Judy Moore on her new role in Salt Lake City, USA. As you know, this is Judy's last week with the TNRD, and I'd like to wish her well and thank her for her tremendous contribution to the library system across the region. We appreciate her leadership and dedication over the last 9 years, and we'll certainly miss her. Good luck to her family, and she will be here tomorrow during our committee of the whole meeting, so you'll have a chance to talk to Judy. The recruitment process for the General Manager of Library Services is well underway. We have received interest from all over North America and beginning to work through that process. In the interim, Jenny Abramczyk will be filling in to manage that role in an interim basis, and we appreciate her help and leadership through that short time frame. I wanted to update the board on our strategic plan progress update. We typically do that mid-year and again at the end of the year. So staff are preparing a strategic plan progress report similar to what we did at the beginning of the year. You're going to see that at the next meeting in July with highlights and updates on all of our key projects that have been completed since January. The progress update is meant to be a snapshot that shows how TNRD projects and ongoing work align with the board's strategic plan and the plan's 5 focus areas. There's been good discussion at previous meetings, and we're hoping for questions and responses from staff and to provide you an update here in July. Thirdly, I'd like to just talk a bit about our ERP or Enterprise Resource Planning update. That was a big project that we undertook. The evaluation and selection process for an enterprise resource planning solution is well underway. We have narrowed our options and have been happy overall with the interest in this project. The goal is to have a preferred vendor selected within and starting negotiations commencing over the next month. We anticipate about an 18-month implementation, but we will keep the board informed along the way as this is a very critical project as it begins to roll out. And then fourthly, I would like to just talk a bit about our new regional email communication tool. So earlier this week, you may have seen we put out a news release encouraging residents to sign up for our new local email list. After our communications feedback survey that we did recently, 2/3 of people said email is still their preferred way of receiving information and communication. And that's exactly what the IT and communications team has done and prioritized. We plan to use these email lists to send not only news releases and newsletters, but less formal updates as well. within information about the TNRD, community events, public hearings, when applicable. People can sign up easily on our local email list by visiting the email list sign up on our webpage. Our communication staff are excited to roll this out and to build these lists as a primary way to share information with our residents. With the ongoing misinformation on social media, we feel this is an important tool to ensure information is shared directly with our residents, and we hope to grow this list, providing timely and fact-based information. And then lastly, just to make another comment regarding Director O'Reilly's comments at the beginning of the meeting, I wanted to extend my sincere gratitude to all staff involved in the Tobiano Cherry Creek referendum process. Your dedication, professionalism, and the many hours and hard work we put in over the last number of years did not go unnoticed. We deeply appreciate your commitment to this important initiative. We respect both the outcome and the integrity of the process, and we will turn our attention to the Tobiano Fire Service at the appropriate time. And so now I'd like to pass it over to Corbin just to provide a few updates from his portfolio.
Thank you, CAO Hildebrand. I'll just wait for, I've got a one pager here to walk the board through, not fully, I'm not gonna, I won't go through all of the things on the list, but yeah, just to provide a bit of an update as to where we are in terms of advocacy as an organization. So there are the 5 board endorsed advocacy priorities, and those are highlighted at the top of this list by an asterisk. And those are the ones that we go to UBCM and we meet with ministers about, the ones that we arranged meetings with ministers back in early March as part of our advocacy tour with Chair Roden. And so these are ongoing, and the work is comprehensive on those. In addition to these 5, there have been over 20 additional advocacy requests from the board or directors from time to time. It should note also that the 5 board endorsed advocacy priorities are directly related to the strategic plan, which is why there's more work put into those. In addition to the over 20 advocacy requests, there has also been an additional 24 letters requested to be sent to different provincial ministries or agencies since the beginning of this board's term. Some of these advocacy requests are easy for staff to deal with, myself or Scott or others, given the connections that we have with provincial government staff or federal government staff. But others are more time consuming. Of course, any request is taken seriously by staff to do our best to action them in a timely manner. However, the 5 board endorsed topics will always be the top priority, especially given capacity and working with CAO Hildebrand and my personal performance plan. I can't do everything. I'm only one person. And so we need to make sure that there's alignment. And also given the board's advocacy framework that was passed in December of 2024, making sure that we're aligned with that not every problem needs to be a letter to a minister. And that there's other ways for us to continue to advocate for the needs across the region. And this was emailed to folks, and if you didn't receive it, then please let me know. I'd be happy to share it. But in addition to advocacy, UBCM is coming up in just a few short months. We're beginning the work to plan for the conference, which includes submitting meeting requests for our 5 board endorsed advocacy topics. As always, individual directors are welcome to request meetings with provincial staff. If you would like to meet with provincial staff about a specific issue in your electoral area or municipality through the regional district, these requests must be received by myself no later than July 22nd. There is a hard deadline for us to submit those through the provincial portal to secure those meetings. So please reach out to me as soon as possible. And then lastly, just in the interest for the board, there are 2 updates for Indigenous relations and First Nations relations. So TNRD staff have met with Nisconlith to discuss a memorandum of understanding between our 2 governments. And we now have a meeting scheduled for mid-July to begin these discussions and also to begin drafting a memorandum of understanding with Nisconlith. And as well, a community-to-community forum will be taking place soon between the TNRD, Whispering Pines Clinton Indian Band, and the Village of Clinton, with the exact date to be determined. So happy to take questions from directors, but that's all for now.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for CAO Hildebrand or Mr. Kelly? Questions or comments? No? All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We move on to 12.1.2 Murray Creek Water Intake Tenure Request. We do have a recommendation. Director Thorpe, thank you. Seconded by Director Sao. Questions, comments? Fun fact, driving past us when my son was little, he thought it was Marie Falls from the way it was said or the way he heard it. He thought Marie is in the woman's name. And I kept wondering what falls is he talking about? And then he pointed to it one day and I thought Murray Falls. He goes, yeah, that one. Okay. So. Any questions or comments on this? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. 12.1.3 Solid Waste B-Train Trailers. Moved by Director Haughton, thank you. Seconded by Director Sarai. Any questions or comments on this? No questions or comments? On the motion then, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? We are purchasing 4 live floor B-Train trailers. Awesome. 12.1.4 Statement of Financial Information, AKA the Sophie Report. We have 2 recommendations. Who would like to move the first one? Director O'Toole, thank you. Seconded by Director Stankey. Any discussion on recommendation 1, which is approving the Statement of Financial Information? Any questions or comments? On the question then, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. And the second recommendation, Director Ranta, thank you. Seconded by Vice Chair Smith. Any discussion on Director's remuneration and expense report? On the question then, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 12.1.5. We have a report which is not going to be presented by CFO Fox, who is absent. We have Aaron McKenzie here to answer any questions. So we have the report for information. Does anyone have any questions? Lots of grants applied for and received. Always good to see. Thank you to the staff who go after them because they're not always easy to get. No questions or comments? All right, thank you. We move on to 12.1.6, official results of the Tobiano Cherry Creek Fire Protection Service Establishment Referendum. We have this for information. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this while it's on the floor? Director Haughton?
I'll echo what CEO Hildebrand said. I want to thank the staff for many years of hard work. I know it started long before our term here, and it's not the outcome that we wanted, but I think everyone involved, including you, Director Grenier, worked your hardest to put it to the people, and I commend the staff and Director Grenier for doing the best job they could, and the people have voted and we've heard their voice. So all the best, or thank you to the staff and to Director Grenier.
Thank you, Director Grenier.
I just want to reiterate, it's been a real pleasure working with staff on this for 2 years. And I want to thank some of the people in the community as well who provided their input, and it was quite interesting. Even opponents, we were able to find some common ground on some of the issues. We were talking about hydrant and non-hydrant areas, and we resolved non-hydrant areas with bush trucks, which now seems to be a big deal for our fire departments, and water storage, which we saw on our first trip up the North Valley, how we could address those things, water tenders, moving into interface fires, moving into landscape fires, and first responder, medical, and road rescue. So these are all things that we will be looking at from a Tobiano protection area viewpoint, but also I would say to all the fellow directors, we've made great strides through staff on fire protection and emergency response. So hats off to them.
Thank you. I would like to also commend staff for their hard work, for their hundreds of hours of time put into this. Thank you to the people, Director Grenier, Director Haughton, the gentleman from the Fire Insurance Office, the fire chief, who all made what I thought were excellent videos explaining exactly what the intent of this was. They were very clear, very direct, showed the commitment and passion of the people involved. Our delegation, Dr. Laborde mentioned asking questions on Facebook specifically and expecting answers there. And I will just mention that it is exceedingly difficult to carry out any kind of civil discourse or conversation on social media. Facebook does not loan itself to an objective exchange of information in a courteous and respectful fashion. Let's just put it that way. So, Director Grenier, I believe, did not, engage on social media. Right now in Ashcroft, I'm finding myself in a similar position vis-a-vis water meters. And I've made the decision that if people have questions and would like to reach out to me or to staff or to a member of my council personally, we are more than happy to engage. But we are not carrying it out on social media because it is like trying to fight a raging house fire with a squirt gun. So I think Director Grenier, you made the correct decision in not using Facebook as a place to try to provide information, information, not with air quotes, and education. And also just, I'll point out that as a local government, we are all expected to be held to a certain standard when it comes to presenting facts, information, error-free, objective, responsible. Other people on Facebook are not held to those same standards, which again makes it very, very difficult for us. And I'm not saying this expecting any action because there's none that can be taken, simply saying that this is a problem that's going to continue to get worse. And it's going to be up to elected officials to decide how and when they engage with people. But social media, in my view, is not the place to do it. And I think that the best you can do is be aware of what's going on there as a pulse, if you will, but continue to tell people that face-to-face is always the best way. Any other questions or comments? Director Middleton.
Thank you. Just a reminder, and we probably have some directors who are in from out of town and maybe staying in Kamloops tonight. So would just like to, a little bit of a reminder that the Kamloops Powwow is having its opening grand march tonight at the powwow grounds at starting at 6 o'clock. It could be a bit congested getting in there. So if you plan to attend, you might want to try and get there a little bit ahead of that. We suspect that traffic going in and parking may be a bit at a premium. So if you plan to attend, please go early. And I think of note, this year there is a Maori delegation from New Zealand of youth, Indigenous youth, who are here performing at the Kamloops Powwow this year. They are amazing. We saw them a small performance from them at the True on, what was it, yesterday, I guess it was. Was that when? Yeah, what day is it? At any rate, with the installation of the new president of True. but really impressive and just amazing. The Maori, a haka they call it, which is just say, it's amazing to see, a great opportunity. You may not get another chance to see something like that here locally again, you know, maybe for a long time. So if you're here tonight and you're looking for a way to spend a little bit of the evening, that might be a great opportunity to go and experience the Grand March and the Maori haka as well. So hopefully any that are staying in here in town can put that on their list of things to do tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. And we move on to 13.1, information correspondence. We have information from a letter from the Village of Chase. Anyone have any questions or comments on that? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. I was made aware recently of, for those who don't know, my wife is a SD 73 trustee. And we've had discussions about here locally, the need for schools within the SD 73 extensive range that it is. I wasn't aware that now the Ministry of Infrastructure is now responsible for school funding. It is no longer under the Ministry of Education. So for those who are advocating within their community, and I think my colleague behind me here at Sun Peaks and their desire, that advocacy now needs to be directed to the Ministry of Infrastructure, no longer Education. That was news to me. So I just thought I'd share.
All right, we move on to new business. Director Onslow.
Thank you for that. In your blue folder, there's a request for a letter of support to go for capacitor metals, which is a grant application that they're making to Canada's Critical Mineral Infrastructure Fund. This exact letter is the letter that I wrote as the TNRD Area B Director, and there will be another one that I'm requesting to come from the Board of Directors just to support their grant application. I would appreciate it. The community of Blue River will definitely appreciate it. They've received a letter of support from our MLA as well as the Village of Valemont. Thank you.
Move to send a letter of support as presented.
Thank you, Director Newstater, seconded by Director Sao. Thank you. All right, so move to send a letter of support to capacitor metals. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. Any other new business? Director Haughton.
I'll make this quick. A couple weeks ago, the Invasive Weeds Committee, along with the Yale County 4-H Club and a very hardworking resident of Knutsford, Pat Moulton, conducted a weed pull. I know there's lots of things you can do on a Saturday morning, and probably a weed pull wouldn't be at the top of your list, but the local 4-H club in the community of Knutsford came and did a very good job of trying to eradicate knapweed at the Edith Lake Provincial Park. That's Director Sarai's favorite fishing hole, so we probably did it for Billy. But many bags of knapweed were collected, and it's not cleaned up totally, but I would say they did a very good job of eradication. And the neighbors that own the property across the road just informed me today, they phoned me, they have done a spray program on their side of the road to try and keep the knapweed from coming. And I think we have a plan of hopefully working with parks to totally eradicate that. But I just want to thank the community and the Invasive Weeds Committee, Nature's Conservancy Canada, and Grassland Conservation Council, Purity Feed, our TNRD, and ultimately thanks to the Knutsford Transfer Station and the City of Kamloops landfill that rightfully disposed of this product. So it was a win-win 2 weeks ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Haughton. Anyone else have any new business? No? We move on to notices of motion. Director Onslow.
Thank you very much. I have a notice of motion dealing with mosquitoes. So my motion that will be coming forward July 17th is that the board directs staff to conduct an in-house feasibility study for providing nuisance mosquito control service in electoral area B, and that the report be completed by the end of 2025 and include operational cost, tax implications, public consultation feedback, and recommend a public assent process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director Sarai.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I think, just apology, before I go to my notice of motion, I'd like to just, because I brought it up in the village of Clinton at the board meeting, I just want to thank Mayor Roland for the hospitality and the great education and hospitality that you showed us and your residents, and it's a beautiful country I've never been to before, but I can assure you it won't be the last time I've traveled there again, so thank you for everything. For my notice of motion, like I said, I mentioned at the board meeting there with Director Morris, whereas the Kamloops Airport Authority Society plays a crucial role in the development and the management of airport operations, regional transportation, and the economic growth that services our community across the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. And whereas the Kamloops Airport Authority Society, CAS for short, plays a central role in the strategic planning and governance of the Kamloops Airport and provides economic health, develops and promotes tourism initiatives that directly impact TNRD communities and support regional growth. So next week, therefore, be resolved that, or July 15th, sorry, therefore be resolved that the TNRD board staff to engage with the Kamloops Airport Authority Society to explore and pursue the TNRD's partnership with the society to explore opportunities to enhance collaboration between TNRD and the society. And that will be heard, I believe, July 15th, 17th. Thank you. Stand corrected.
Thank you. Any other notices of motion? All right, we move on to question period. Are there any questions from anyone? No? We have no need of a closed meeting, so we are adjourned. We will see everyone tomorrow morning at 9 for Committee of the Whole.